tomorrow's a big day. You guys have already had a few days of early voting. Tell us about early voting and how that went compared to previous years.
Well, we're really excited. I mean, when you compare this to 4 years ago, the last gubernatorial election, we have seen a surge in early and mail voting. As of about 1 o'clock this afternoon, over 73,000 voters had cast ballots either through the mail absentee voting or during the 3-day early voting period. So that's great news that we're seeing a much larger turnout there. We've seen a surge in voter registration. Of course, we had a modern record for the number of candidates filing for office. And I think when you look at the fact that there's a state question on the ballot, you have a number of open statewide seats, there just generally seems to be more interest in this election than maybe the one 4 years ago. And I am certainly very hopeful that that leads to higher turnout on Election Day, because as the Election Board Secretary, what I want is people to get registered and to vote.
Speaking of voting, there'll be a lot of people today and tomorrow, Tuesday, that will figure out they don't know where to go vote. What's the best way for them to figure out where they should be voting?
Well, polls are open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And keep in mind, there's something for everyone to vote on if you're a registered voter. Independents can vote on a state question, and if they have local judges races, in fact, every voter gets to vote on those. There are Republican, Democratic, and Libertarian primaries for those voters, and of course the Democrats this time have opened their primaries to independents, so independents have the option of voting in the Democratic primary if they wish to. I always encourage voters, before you head to the polls, use our online voter tool, which is on our website, elections.ok.gov. The online voter tool helps you confirm that you're registered to vote. It allows you to find your polling place, including a map of how to get to your polling place. It also lets you download or print absentee ballots for your precinct, and I think that is a wonderful thing. And if you have looked at our sample ballots so far, Republicans, Democrats have very lengthy ballots in some cases with a lot of candidates, and so it's good to be prepared as you go in. I always get a question about whether someone can take notes or can they mark up a sample ballot and take it into the polling place with them. And there's no law that prohibits that. What you would need to be careful about is sharing that with someone while you're in the election enclosure where voting is occurring. But if you want to take personal notes for your personal use, that is allowed.
Okay. And what do you, as a voter, what do you need to bring to the polls? What do you need to show in terms of
the most important thing to bring is yourself, because if you don't show up, you're not going to have a say in how the election goes. Oklahoma does have a proof of identity law, and there are 3 ways to prove your identity. You can use any of these 3. The first way is to present a photo identification that is issued by the state of Oklahoma or the United States government or a federally recognized tribal government. In lieu of that, you can present your free voter identification card that you received when you registered to vote. And if you don't happen to have any of those with you at the time, you're still allowed to vote. You would receive what's known as a provisional ballot, and you would fill out an affidavit attesting that you are the voter, and as long as the information you provide on your affidavit matches your voter registration record, then that ballot would actually get counted by the county election board on Friday.
Okay. Now you have years of experience. You've been doing this for a while. I mean, if you've had precincts, if you had polling places before that have had long waits, on big turnout days, whether presidential race or do they address that? I mean, the county election board's been pretty good about saying, we always get a good crowd here. We probably need to have more people here.
Well, county election boards are the ones that choose polling places, and of course they are the ones who select actual precinct officials. And to be perfectly honest, it is getting more and more difficult for county election boards to even find precinct officials and find people willing to work at elections. One thing we have seen is that the average age of precinct officials continues to grow. I know during the 2016 presidential general election, the average age of a precinct official, I believe, was over 70 years old.
Wow.
And you just don't see younger generations stepping up to participate like their parents and grandparents did, and that's going to become a problem in the near future. But I know that county election boards do their very best to make sure that their polling places are fully staffed, and they do the very best they can to make sure that voters are assisted as quickly as possible.
When do you think we'll, of course, I think right after 7 we'll see the results that you guys already have from absentee and early voting. But after that, when do results usually start coming in from the counties?
Well, the first, as you mentioned, the first votes you will see are the in-person absentee, also known as early voting, and you will see mail absentee votes, because those typically have already been, scanned, or in the case of mail absentee ballots, there may be just a few left that they're working on right as the polls have closed, but the county election board is still scanning some mail absentee ballots. So you'll probably start seeing some of those get uploaded around 7:15, 7:30.
Okay.
For precincts, election day votes, those are cast at individual polling places. And for security reasons, those voting devices are not connected to any network or to the internet or anything like that. So those are physically returned. The voting devices are physically returned to the county election board along with the voted ballots. And it, of course, takes a little time to take down the polling place, for example, pack up the ballots securely, get all that loaded into the precinct inspector's car, then they drive to the county election board. And in some of our larger counties, for example, if you think Oklahoma County, which has nearly 300 precincts, that means you have 300 precinct inspectors who have to drop off their ballots and their voting device. And so that takes a while. Oklahoma County and most of our big counties, they have a really good procedure for going through that as fast as they can. But if you've ever even waited in the line at a drive-through at Starbucks or McDonald's, you know how long it can take sometimes. Well, imagine if you're waiting with 200 other people to drop off ballots and voting devices. That sometimes can take a little while to get everyone processed. Once those get to the county election board will retrieve a memory stick from that voting device. It's kept under lock and seal, and that's removed from the voting device, and then they have a secure computer that has a secure connection to our office, and they put that in that computer. It tabulates the results, and then periodically we'll send those results upstream to the state election board. And so we get those go into our official election results system, and then they also get pushed out to our website, and there are a number of media organizations, News OK is one of them, that get the very same results from the counties that we get. So the same ones that are going up on our website are going to News OK.
Right.
And typically, though, that process, especially on a statewide election, takes several hours. But usually by 9:30 or 10 o'clock, you'll see most of the votes in, and hopefully we'll be finished by 11:30 or 12 with the last of them. But that's entirely dependent on how quickly the county election boards receive those ballots and those voting devices and get that uploaded.
And of course, Tuesday night, the results, as you guys are very diligent about pointing out, they are unofficial.
Right, exactly.
And what makes them official?
Well, no election results are official until they have been certified by the appropriate election board. So what you will see on Tuesday night are preliminary results that have been uploaded by the county election board. So they've canvassed those returns and they've uploaded those returns, but they are not certified yet. On the Friday after the election, the county election board reviews any provisional ballots that are to be counted. And those get counted at a public meeting of the county election board on Friday. The county board meets at 5 p.m. on Friday after the election, and then after they have updated their totals with the provisional ballots, then they certify those results to us, and that's on the Friday after the election. And then by law, my board, the state election board, meets on the Tuesday following the election, so a week later, and our board meets at 5 p.m. and then we certify federal and state races, state questions, judicial races, and legislative races.
This is way, cart way before the horse. But does Oklahoma have a law about an automatic recounts, or is that something that always has to be requested?
Oklahoma does not have a law providing for automatic recounts.
Okay.
In order to request a recount, a candidate in that particular race must request it, and they have to post a deposit. And then once they meet that threshold, then the county election boards that are involved will conduct they'll actually schedule a court hearing, and a judge will confirm that the ballots have been maintained securely, and if they have, then the judge will order the recount to proceed, and then the county election board does the recount at that point.